on this deal positively, and some would even call it rare when it comes to Trump. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple things, Don. First, President Biden did get 100 or so Israeli hostages out of, Hamas control, right? But was he able to negotiate something like this, where it was a 20-point plan that was articulated, drafted, had other countries support and buy-in, as you saw those countries in Egypt? Did it have a future plan and state for Gaza, for people to return back to Gaza? The Palestinian prisoner exchange that happened with over 2,000 or so Palestinian prisoners. Remember, there was a lot of Palestinians that were taken and put in Israeli prisons post October 7th of 2023. So did the Biden administration do any of that? No. I mean, I hate that people can't have these two thoughts in their head at the same time, Don. Like, for me, I will always hammer President Trump on things that he is doing domestically that are potentially harming American citizens that I disagree with, whether it be things that are happening right now at DHS and what ICE is doing and becoming the largest law enforcement agency. There are a bunch of things to talk about from a domestic standpoint, deploying National Guard troops and city safety, and how do we do all that. But when it comes to this on the foreign policy stage, I think for these outlets, the president said, I can solve these wars. They wouldn't have started if I was here, which obviously is subjective. We have no idea. That's a hypothetical. We don't even know if that would have happened. But here we are now, a short, 10, 12 months later since the campaign trail, and we're seeing a ceasefire, although there's been little, let's be honest, inklings of some Israeli IDF just reporting that they shot some Palestinians this morning, according to a bunch of different outlets. So I don't know if that breaks the terms of the ceasefire. But to actually see these countries show up in Egypt yesterday, sign this peace agreement in phase one, and now we'll see what happens in phase two. I mean, the fact that we've gotten to this point, you can only point to one thing to give credit to. And all these outlets all said Steve Witkoff is not the guy to be able to negotiate something like this, Don, because he doesn't have this experience. He's worked in real estate. And here is Steve Witkoff bringing these parties to the table and getting this first part of phase one done with these Israeli hostages coming home and the Palestinian prisoners going back to Gaza. I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due sometimes, Don.
And just real quick, one final question, I think. You mentioned that Hamas went onto the streets to, execute Palestinians they claim worked with Israel. Do you think that's a red flag there in terms of lasting peace in the region? And plus the fact that Hamas has not agreed to disarm.
Yeah, I think both of those things are the thing that I've been saying the most across NTD, over the last couple of days since it's been signed, right? Like, phase one, and again, I hate even saying this because of the hostages and all the turmoil they went through. Phase one was probably the easiest part of this, getting a negotiation and the countries to agree on prisoner swap, hostages swap, location, who's mediating that. That's the easiest part. The second part of this is there a two-state solution? Is, Gazans returning back home? What does the future of the government, in Gaza look like, right? Is it something from the West Bank? Is it something that's new to that area? And then how does Hamas ultimately disarm when the West considers Hamas a terrorist organization? Those are things we can't answer, Don, because nobody knows that. And if we did know that, this conflict would have been solved. October 7th would have never happened. All of those things. So Hamas has been in power, or at least been around since 2005, 2006. They killed leaders of the opposition party, even though they were duly elected. I mean, this has been happening for over 20 plus years. So the fact that we got phase one done, again, as it, I don't want it to sound callous, because like I said, I'm incredibly sensitive of everything that the hostages have gone through and the prisoners have gone through. That was the easy part. The harder part now comes in what becomes the future state of this region without Hamas, because I can't imagine Hamas saying, yeah, you know what, we are going to disarm. Even though President Trump has said this a bunch, and I know he said the caveat, he said it in the cabinet meeting, he just said that if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. How does that look? What is that we will disarm them? Because if it's more bombing, if it's more indiscriminate killing, there's 70,000 people that have died in Gaza since this war has happened, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. To continue to indiscriminately bomb Gaza because of the Hamas militants that are there, That's not the sound for this. He wants truly everlasting peace. I don't know how we get that. I don't know how we accomplish phase 2 with Hamas in charge, Don.
Okay, well, Mike, it's always good to talk to you, and I think that's our time today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don.
U.S. Homeland Security says cartels are placing